27 years is an incredibly long time to be locked up. And for Nelson Mandela, it was even more so because he didn't even know if he'd ever get out. Yet he spent all that time trying to free not just himself, but an entire nation. In today's video, we'll learn what it took to free South Africa from one of the most brutal dictatorships in history, the Apartheid. Let's begin. South Africa is a beautiful country with a terrible history. Back in the 1940s, the white minority government enforced a brutal system of racial segregation known as apartheid. Under this system, black South Africans were denied citizenship and subjected to second-class status. They couldn't vote, own property, or travel freely within their own country. But if they dared to defy the system, they would be met with swift and violent punishment. One of the many activists who resisted the apartheid regime was Nelson Mandela. He joined a group called the African National Congress, or ANC, which organized protests and civil disobedience against the government. But as the government cracked down on the ANC, Mandela realized that he needed to take a more radical approach. He began training people to sabotage government buildings and infrastructure. And in 1964, he was caught and put on trial. The trial was a media circus. The government had a mountain of evidence against Mandela, and it seemed like there was no hope for a positive outcome. Nevertheless, when it was time for the trial, Mandela stood up and delivered an incredible speech in his own defense. He spoke for over 4 hours, outlining the injustices of the apartheid regime and calling for a free and democratic South Africa. He argued that his actions were justified because they were necessary to fight against oppression. And he said that he was prepared to die for his beliefs. After listening to Mandela's speech, the jury had no choice but to find him guilty. He was sentenced to life in prison and sent to the infamous Robben Island. But despite the bleak circumstances, Mandela refused to give up hope. He knew that he had put his life on the line to fight for freedom, and he was determined to see that fight through to the end. Mandela's imprisonment became a cause célèbre, and people around the world began to call for his release. But the South African government was unwilling to budge. They saw Mandela as a dangerous terrorist and were afraid that releasing him would cause chaos and instability. So Mandela remained in prison, and the years turned into decades. But during those decades, Mandela never lost sight of his goal. He continued to study law and politics. And he worked tirelessly to organize and mobilize the anti-apartheid movement, even from behind bars. Mandela became a symbol of resistance, and his presence loomed large in the struggle to end apartheid. As the international pressure on South Africa grew, the government began to make some concessions. In 1990, they agreed to release Mandela from prison, and the following year, they lifted the ban on the ANC. This was a major victory for Mandela and the anti-apartheid movement, and it paved the way for the first multiracial elections in South Africa. In 1994, Mandela was elected president of South Africa, and he wasted no time in putting his plans for a new South Africa into action. He established a Truth and Reconciliation Commission to investigate the abuses of the apartheid regime, and he worked to dismantle the system of racial segregation. Mandela also played a key role in the release of political prisoners and the legalization of the ANC. Under Mandela's leadership, South Africa became a model for other countries seeking to transition to democracy. He was a symbol of forgiveness and reconciliation. And he showed the world that it was possible to overcome even the most deeply ingrained forms of oppression. Today, Mandela is remembered as one of the greatest leaders of the 20th century. He is a Nobel Peace Prize winner and the recipient of numerous other honors and awards. His life story has been told in books, movies, and documentaries, and he continues to inspire people around the world to fight for justice and equality. Mandela's legacy is a reminder that even in the darkest of times, hope can prevail. It's a testament to the power of one man's dream for a better world. If you like this video, please subscribe for more videos about amazing people. Thank you for watching.